Welcome. The League of Women Voters of the City of New York is a nonpartisan organization whose purpose is to promote informed and active citizen participation in government. Our mission is to expand our outreach and increase all New Yorkers' participation in local communities and government through civics education, the vote, and issues advocacy. Today, we're going to talk about ranked choice voting. Ranked choice voting is not so new. We voted in the city primary elections for mayor, comptroller, public advocate, borough presidents, and city council in 2021 using ranked choice voting. We used it again for the 2023 city council primaries here in New York City. Ranked choice voting is not available in the rest of New York State. Only New York City so far has approved it for primary and special elections. This presentation will introduce you to ranked choice voting. We will discuss how ranked choice voting works for us here in New York City. We will also share strategies for using ranked choice voting for its greatest impact, and we will explain how the counting of ranked ballots works. First of all, in order to vote in New York State primary elections, you must be a member of a political party that holds primaries. This is called a closed primary. If you are already a registered voter, you can change your party affiliation by the deadline of February 14th. You must complete a new voter registration form, either online or with a paper registration form. New voters can affiliate in a party whenever they register. You have the opportunity to be strategic. Think about which political parties hold the most primaries and which party aligns most closely with your values and the needs of your community. Ranking choices is not a new concept. We actually use it all the time in our everyday lives. When we go out for pizza with friends, we all have our favorite toppings, but most of us also have a second or a third choice that we can live with and happily enjoy. Or when our favorite brand at the grocery store is not on sale, we can often be happy with another brand. So, ranked choice voting is pretty similar to those other choices we make every day. We are used to elections when we look at a list of candidates and have to select one candidate to represent us. But with ranked choice voting, we have the opportunity to rank up to 5 candidates who we believe can do the job and represent us and our community. Always remember, we are still just casting a single vote, but we are ranking our choices. Look at this sample ballot to see the overall idea of ranked choice voting. This voter chose candidate B as their first choice. This is the candidate the voter supports the most. But the voter also could be happy with candidate C. Candidate A is also acceptable for the voter, as is candidate E and even candidate D. This voter is expressing their opinion that any of these candidates can do the job. There might be other candidates on this ballot. Maybe there are candidates F, G, and H that the voter does not think will do a good job representing the voter. Therefore, the voter does not give them a ranking. So, what are the benefits of ranked choice voting? As I just demonstrated with the sample ballot in the last slide, the voter gets to be strategic. We get to think about each candidate and how that candidate can do the job for which they are campaigning. We have the opportunity to rank only the candidates who we believe can do the job and not rank any candidates we do not believe in. This allows the voter to focus on the issues. What will the candidate do for me and my community? Also, and most importantly, ranked choice voting allows your ballot to stay on the table. As you will see shortly, if my first choice candidate does not win enough first choice votes, they will be eliminated from the ballot. But because I chose a second choice candidate, my ballot moves over to their pile. My ballot is still in play. If my second choice gets eliminated, my ballot will move to my third choice, someone I still believe can do the job. My voice will still be heard, and I may still get a candidate who I believe in. In traditional voting, if my one and only candidate gets too few votes, my ballot is done. Another benefit to ranked choice voting is for the candidates. Candidates have figured out that if they form coalitions, they gain strength. Let's imagine from our sample ballot, candidates A, B, and C form a coalition and support each other during their campaigns by saying things like, I want to be your first choice, but my colleagues, candidates B and C, stand for the same issues I do. Make them your choices also. If candidates run negative campaigns against other candidates, voters may be less likely to vote for them as one of their choices, since they are disrespectful of their other choices. Also, ranked choice voting helps eliminate vote splitting. Vote splitting is when there are two or more candidates on the traditional primary ballot who have very similar platforms and positions, but we only can vote for one of them. It is not uncommon in New York City to have 10 or even 12 candidates from the same political party running against each other. Many of these candidates share the concerns of their communities and would make good leaders. Ranked choice voting gives these candidates a greater chance to be elected. Ranked choice voting was approved by the voters of New York City on a proposition in 2019 and was first implemented in 2021. The voter turnout was very low that year, but over 70% of all voters expressed support for ranked choice voting. Ranked choice voting is only used for local elections. Citywide and borough elections, such as the primaries and local special elections. Now let's turn our attention to how to maximize the use of ranked choice voting. Here is the sample ballot we looked at a few minutes ago. Remember, in New York City, you have the opportunity to rank up to 5 candidates. You only rank the candidates that you can live with, the candidates you believe can do the job. Can I use all my votes for one candidate? People often ask, and the answer is no. You may not use all your rankings for one candidate. If you only think one candidate, candidate B in this sample ballot, can do the job, then just use your first choice column. Similarly, people ask, can I give multiple candidates the same ranking? And the answer is no. You may only give one candidate a ranking. If you really love candidates B and C, you need to decide which one will get your first choice and which one will get your second choice. Now let's imagine that the election is over. All of the ballots have been collected. Here is how they're counted. First of all, if a candidate receives 50% plus one vote from everyone's first choices, that candidate wins the election. In this example, candidate B had 54% of all first choice votes. Candidate B is the winner. However, if no candidate earns 50% plus one vote in the first choices, then the counting continues like this. Let's look at this sample. Candidate B earned 39% of all first choice votes. Candidate A, 27%. Candidate C, 22%. And candidate D had the lowest first choice ballots at 12%. Candidate D is now eliminated, and everyone who voted for candidate D now gets their ballot moved to their second choice candidate. Let's follow the sample count now. As we can see, some of candidate D's supporters chose candidate A as their second choice. Some chose candidate B, and some chose candidate C. All the voters' ballots are now part of that candidate's totals. Since no candidate earned more than 50% of the vote, we now eliminate the lowest vote getter again. Candidate C will now be eliminated, and all the voters who had candidate C as their first or second choice will now have their ballots moved over to their next choice candidate. In this example, the process continues until there are only two candidates left. This allows everyone's voice to be heard and keeps all the ballots on the table until all your choices are used. We keep eliminating the lowest vote getter. Now we have only two candidates remaining. Candidate B has won with 58% of the vote. Here is a real-life example from a special election in Queens. Notice the columns. Column A shows the total from round 1, which was everyone's first choice. Then you can see for round 2, the write-in candidate was eliminated, and the 24 ballots were either moved to their second choice or retired if the person did not select a second choice. The third round shows the distribution of the second and third choices from Nicole Lee when she was eliminated. The rounds continued until round 9, when the last of the ballots with voters' choices were added to Salvina Powers and Pesach Osina. The voters spoke and were heard. The candidates who had the most voters select them as any of their choices won the primary. Obviously, when you see this process, you can tell that it definitely takes longer to count than a traditional election. We do need to be patient and allow the process to unfold so everyone's voice is heard through all the rounds that might need to be counted. Remember, we the people, the voters, have this opportunity to use our voices so that ranked choice voting can truly reflect the will of the people. We select the candidates who will best represent us and our community. We rank according to our preferences. We share this information and strategies with others in our community. We vote. Be sure you have your voting action plan in place. Be sure you are registered to vote and have selected a political party. Be sure you know where your poll site is located and you know the hours of operation. Be sure you have chosen a method to vote, in person on election day, early voting, or by mail-in ballot. Decide how you will rank your vote and be sure to cast your ballot.